Okay, and then when it comes to tax, any other tax, we have so many tax. Speculation tax, empty home tax, whatever, like whatever you can think of. And do you have any of those tax?
We do not. So there is, in addition to no land transfer tax, and I'll just elaborate on that a bit, our industry in Alberta has been lobbying heavily with the government to never institute a land transfer tax.
Never?
Never. And so far, we've been very successful. We have a very good lobby group in Alberta. We do not have a vacant home tax. We do not have a speculation tax. We do not have a foreign ownership tax at all whatsoever. So the tax situation when buying property in Calgary is wonderful.
Okay. What am I gonna do? So is it provincial governments and lobbying with the federal government?
Provincial government.
Oh, provincial government. So provincial governments, so you guys have been lobbying?
Yes.
Ah, okay. But what about you have to own more than 2 years before you buy, you sell, or else you're gonna be, like thing with higher capital gain and things like that?
Well, now we don't have a provision provincially for that. There may be something federally. I don't believe that there is, though. You don't have to own it for a certain period of time. It's if it's an investment property, capital gains applies, period. If it's a property that you live in, they want you to live in it for a year to show that it's not a flip. So
now, any other taxes that is so different from us that you're aware of?
Just the lack thereof. We just don't have it. We've had a mostly conservative government over the years that are pro-business, and that continues to be the case. It looks like provincially we will continue to have a strong conservative government going forward, and our current leader just went under a confidence vote.
And yes, I know she won.
And she did great, yeah. So, as long as we have effective provincial government leadership, we'll continue in this climate of pro-business. But even the former NDP government responded very well to our lobby. So the lack of taxes, I believe, will continue. I can't predict the future, but it looks good.
Okay, so my questions to you then, when it comes to foreigners, so we have Whistler that we don't need to pay tax. Foreigner can buy. Yes. Don't ban it. Anything like this in Alberta?
So Banff itself, which is going to be similar to Whistler as a ski area, you cannot own property in Banff unless you are a business owner or unless you work in Banff. So it's really prohibitive for investors. Canmore, which is the adjacent community and has freehold land, whereas Banff land is all park.
Okay.
I asked my colleagues there, and there's only 1 or 2 resorts where there is an exemption to the foreign buyer ban. All the rest of Canmore, unfortunately, is not exempt.
Okay. So it's just ban. Basically is like Whistler and those 1 or 2 resort that is being exempt. So in that case, do you think that, because the interest rate keep on coming down, can you see, has the building, new build in Calgary slowed down during the interest rate was very high, and then now people starting to build again, and then the supply will improve and increase. That might, make any damper or no problem at all for the Calgary market.
We still have an inventory shortage, and while we did see a bit of inventory come on just in the last quarter, which helped damper price growth, we still have more demand than we have inventory. And if next year proves to be as fantastic a year as we think, we will end the year again with still a bit of a shortage. So I'm bullish on the Calgary market for the next 3 years, not just next year.
Now, when it comes to interest rate, we know a lot of the time people they based on the interest rate coming down, so they buy faster, more, and things like that. The interest rate during the high time, Calgary is still doing better than us.
Yes.
So how did that work? Like people, just because they have higher income, like what is their income is like, you know? So that's the one thing that we don't understand, because you guys still, you know, going like really good.
Right. So there were a couple of things that contributed to that. One is in migration. So we had the most in migration to the province of Alberta than any other province by far. And the people that were coming in were skilled workers and people in the medical field that could qualify for a mortgage even though the rates were higher. The lack of inventory just made the demand stronger, because the sense was, if we don't get in now at this price, even if rates are lower next year, the prices are going to be so much higher. So it was a balance. What is now, of course, happening is, now that the interest rates have dropped, we're getting those people who were waiting, who already had good rates and owned property, to move up or to move across or whatever. Those people are now coming back into the marketplace because their payments aren't going to go up as much as they would have in the high interest rate climate. So that will all contribute to a really positive market next year.
So just quickly want to find out, what is the average income of the Calgarian?
I will check my notes to give you the correct number, but the average salary in Calgary is $64,600, and that is 18% higher than the Canadian average. By contrast, the average salary in Vancouver, and I found this quite shocking, $62,250. So the average salary in Calgary is actually higher than the average salary in Vancouver.
Isn't that sad?
Isn't that crazy? I just can't believe it.
Yeah, that's what I always suggest my clients. If their children, because the millennials sometimes often they not necessarily want to buy or settled in a certain area. And then the parents, especially the Asian world, they want the kids to have a property. So instead of fighting, okay, I don't want to buy, but I want you to buy, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, take a little bit less, you know, bring the money to Calgary, and then use it as like a RSP or whatever, you know, like a term deposit or whatever. And then it will increase and capital gain and things like that. And by the time the children settled and want to get married and have kids, then sell that property and bring back here, and then they have a bigger down payment.
Bigger down payment. Yeah, I actually had one young man move to Calgary from Kelowna because he was able to work from home, and to buy the same type of property in Kelowna would have been a third again higher, and he wanted to travel. So he said, I can live in Calgary even though it's a little cold sometimes, and he bought a property that is definitely going to go up in value, but he gets to live in the property that he owns, and that was important to him.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Susanita. It has been fun with you and knowing you for all these years. And then, you know, like we have to share more information with my AM1320 listener. And if there's any potential referrals, I'll definitely send it your way.
Please do, and thank you so much for having me,
Tina.
This was really fun.
Thank you so much. 多謝晒大家，下次再見，拜拜。